Hello there, it is Quinn here, and we are back with another Black Ops 4 Zombies video here on the channel. And before we get into more reveal event intel, I just wanted to say that I am absolutely blown away. Yesterday's video already has like 35,000 views, and last night's stream, we had over 1,000 people watching right off the bat, and it literally just feels like I never left. So, let's just pretend that I didn't. But I wanted to talk about Gobblegums in Black Ops 4, and no one has really discussed this or even made a video about it, because there's just been so many things to talk about, but I'm more of a gameplay oriented person, so I really am excited to talk about this. But both Jason Blundell and Craig Houston discussed both Gobblegums and perks at length during the roundtable discussion, and later in the day when we were fortunate enough to be able to just hang around with those guys and speak with them casually. And before you even ask, yes, Gobblegums are going to be present in Black Ops 4. For some, that's probably fantastic news, and for others, you might be a little bummed out, because there are some consumables that are they're just a little overpowered, and you might be a little bummed that they're returning this time around. I mean, towards the end of Black Ops 3, there were several Mega Gobblegums that just made the game way too easy. If you were running the right setup, you didn't even have to be a decent player to make it to high rounds on several maps. You could just essentially have unlimited downs with Self-Med, Perkaholic, Near-Death Experience, even Raindrops, and Gobblegums like Shopping Free made most of the Easter eggs just super easy. Now, of course, you didn't have to use them. They were definitely optional, but it absolutely made Easter eggs less rewarding, even when you completed them without any megas, because it was difficult to not just have that thought nagging at you of how much easier it would have been had you just popped a Perkaholic and opened the entire map on round 1 with a Shopping Free. Another huge, completely valid complaint that many players have had was just how much it seemed like perks fell to the wayside in favor of more Mega Gobblegums. It was very obvious after Shadows of Evil and the Giant that Treyarch really didn't have any interest in creating new perks, and instead just used new Mega Gobblegums as a replacement for those perk ideas. As a result, every DLC in Black Ops 3 had the same perks, and for me, that got old really quick, compared to Black Ops 2, where nearly every DLC gave us a new perk, and every DLC had a different combination of the existing perks. It was very frustrating in BO3 to have the same exact setup every single time. I don't think that was a problem for a lot of players, but for certain players like me, it really did bother me, because I really like variety in perks, and the Gobblegums just didn't cut it, especially the mega ones. I remember every single DLC, I would get on the map, I would hit that Gobblegum machine, pop a Perkaholic, and I would just hope they would have finally added a new perk, or maybe brought PhD back, but instead we were just greeted with a new setup of Mega Gobblegums. And when we asked Jason and Craig about both of those things, they gave us some really great answers. We asked if they were going to look into the balancing of Gobblegums, and we also asked if they planned on putting a bigger focus on the perks this time around, and keeping an equal opportunity for new perks to make their way into the game, as well as the new Gobblegums. And when it came to new perks, Jason made it very clear that they were well aware of the complaints people had with the way Gobblegums just completely overshadowed the perks in Black Ops 3, and he even went so far as to say that they felt that they didn't really do a great job keeping an even balance between the two in Black Ops 3, and he said he felt they did a way better job this time around. He said they had to decide which Gobblegums they'd be bringing forward from the last game, and which should be cut, and man, that is a relief. I think Gobblegums were fine at launch. Perkaholic was very OP, but it didn't break the game. If you went down, you just had to say goodbye to those perks. Even throughout DLC 1 and 2, Gobblegums were fine. They still made things easier, but they just weren't completely game-breaking. But by the time we got Garrod Crovey, I think Treyarch just stopped caring about balance with the gums. All of a sudden, we had Gobblegums that spawned 2 of every single drop. They let you go down 40 times in one round with no repercussions, allow you to skip rounds completely, tons of extra Gobblegums to give you extra perks and extra revives, access to the entire map on round 1. I mean, it progressed to the point of absurdity, and while Reed, Adam, Glitching Queen, and I were practicing for E for C, there really wasn't much challenge involved in terms of just staying alive. The only challenge was the RNG not screwing us over, and us remembering the steps. Going down by the zombies was barely a concern because of the OP setup we had, and I'm very relieved they don't plan on just bringing the entire arsenal forward into BO4. Personally, and this is the only time you will ever hear me say this, Infinite Warfare Zombies probably did it best in terms of keeping the consumables useful, but not overpowered. In IW, the Fate and Fortune cards could absolutely help you out big time, but they didn't make you a god on round 1. And then they gave us Director's Cut, and made us a round 1 god anyways. In World War II, the consumables are honestly pretty worthless. I guess they can give you a max ammo, but honestly, they're just a complete afterthought, and they're not integrated in a way where you feel like you need to set up. Like in Black Ops 3, you would set up before you got into a game. In IW, you would set up before you got into a game. In World War II, you really don't even think about it. They're really not smoothly integrated. They're just there. I do think in Black Ops 4 that a few really strong consumables would be fine, especially with the mutations coming that will already allow players to make the game more fitting to their skill level, but I definitely think it's the right choice to cut certain Gobblegums while keeping the ones that fit the difficulty the studio is trying to craft. I think Near-Death Experience was the absolute pinnacle of just completely broken Gobblegums. I mean, it literally made you invincible. You could just go into a boss fight solo and die an infinite amount of times with no repercussions. All weapons, perks, and points were kept, and you could rack up thousands of downs. I remember Patrick just left a stream running one night without him at his controller, just dying in game for 10 hours straight, and then he came back and finish the boss fight, and that's just not okay no matter which way you spin it. And like I said earlier, Jason said they did their best at balancing their focus between Gobblegums and then perks, and I hope that means we'll return to a model more similar to Black Ops and Black Ops 2, and I mean, thinking back to those games, new perks were present in nearly every map. Ascension gave us PhD and Stamina Up, Call of the Dead gave us Deadshot, Moon gave us Mule Kick, Transit gave us Tombstone, Die Rise had Who's Who, Mob had Electric Cherry, Buried had Vulturade, and Origins gave us the Wonder Fizz, and all of those maps had a different combination of said perks versus Black Ops 3, where we had Widow's Wine, and that was it for new perks. They had the same 8 on every single DLC map with the exception of Chronicles, which I don't think had Electric Cherry apart from Origins, of course. And I really hope and expect at least one new perk per DLC this year. I think it's incredibly likely we're getting 2 zombie maps per DLC, and I don't think it would be too outlandish to hope for one new Perk-a-Cola with each DLC map. Just return to that model of Black Ops and Black Ops 2. I'd also finally love to see some perks return like PhD, or maybe even a revamped Who's Who. I know Lagan specifically asked about Widow's Wine, because while that is one of my favorite perks, that was another aspect of Black Ops 3 that made training a lot more forgiving. You could back yourself into a corner over and over again without dying, and Blundell said Widow's Wine was something they had put a lot of thought into when it came to how or if it would be used throughout Black Ops 4. He didn't confirm one way or another, so I have no idea if we can expect to see it again, but it certainly didn't sound as though it was off the table. I would like to see it return for at least one map. Just thinking about what we already have confirmed, Blood of the Dead is a great opportunity to bring PhD Flopper back into the mix, or maybe even Widow's Wine. I think Widow's Wine would work really, really well on Mob of the Dead, although it definitely would make Mob of the Dead a lot easier, because in Mob of the Dead, you really do only have one place to train. You kind of have the cafeteria, you can train out on the bridge, because although the bridge you don't really get drops, so that's kind of a problem because you can only go for so long out on the bridge. It's a really easy training spot, but you need those drops, and we have to wonder, because Blood of the Dead is going to have new areas. Jason confirmed Blood of the Dead was going to be a very different layout entirely. He said the existing areas, I believe he said this, I'm kind of spitballing here because, you know, we were just in a room talking to these guys. I didn't write down notes, but I believe he said that the existing areas would be similar or the same, but there would be a lot of new areas and it would not feel like the same map. So I don't even know how many of the existing areas are going to cross over. I have no idea. It might be almost an entirely different part of Alcatraz. I have no idea, although in the trailer, it looked like they were back by the fan trap where Speed Cola goes, so it does look like some areas are going to be the same. We're just going to have to wait until we get gameplay, but I really, really do hope, just getting back to where we were with the perks, that we'll see some of the perks that we've wanted to see forever, and we get some new perks that we've just been waiting for since Widow's Wine in 2015. It's been 3 years since we've had a new perk in Zombies, and that is a little absurd, especially when you think back to how frequent new perks were back in the day. But I was just shocked how open Blundell and Craig Houston were to answering our questions. You know, they didn't spoil anything, but they gave us answers that were very insightful and very helpful, and put my mind at ease in regards to the future of zombies. I was incredibly impressed with just how aware they are of community concerns, and my biggest question had to do with how they'll be addressing some past storyline threads that haven't been touched upon in quite some time, and believe me when I say, their answer blew me away. I cannot wait to make a video on that. I just didn't have the time today because I had Zombros, and it's going to be a pretty extensive video. I'm going to end today's video here. If you enjoyed it and could drop me a like, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to be shooting for daily uploads and daily streams. I used to just kind of stream and make the occasional video, but I've grown to love making videos so much for my second channel. I want to do both, and I think I can. It's summer, I've got the time, we're going to make it happen. But thank you all so much for watching. If you are new around here, absolutely feel free to subscribe, leave a like if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Wait!
I have one more thing to say. Zombros is now on iTunes. It's a podcast I do with Reed and Johnny J25. You probably already know that. If you haven't yet, go over to iTunes, subscribe, and leave us a rating. It really does help out the podcast, and believe me, we are working hard to make Zombros something special. I cannot wait to see where this podcast is a year from now, and I do have an extra Black Ops 4 water bottle. They are made out of metal. They gave them out to creators at the event, and somehow I ended up with an extra. So I will give one of those to you who go over there and leave us a rating. Just mention my name in the rating so I know where you're coming from, so I know who to give it to. They're super nice. I don't even think you can get them anywhere else. I think they were exclusive to the event. And man, I'm just really excited for Bo4. World War II is just not for me, and most of the zombies YouTubers feel similarly. It's a nice little distraction on DLC, but Bo4, I mean, we are months away from release, and I am already dying to play it. So, sorry for this little after show. I would really encourage you to go over there and leave us a rating and subscribe and win this little beautiful water bottle. Just remember to comment in like the rating that you're coming from me so I know who to give it to, because this water bottle, it's said that drinking water from this bottle will make you a god at Call of Duty Zombies. So I would definitely get on that. Alright, once again, thank you so much for watching, and bye. Again.